Okay. So how about
sports talk?
Sports ball. How about Zach Edey?
That's exactly. Funny, he has to do this to go through the process.
Oh, yeah.
Go through because he's got to start learning. He needs to learn. I think he has a lot of learning to do as far as what he's going to have to do differently in the pros, or what happens if he gets there and they're like, hey, you know what? I think there's something here we could work with. And what if all of a sudden he becomes a late first round draft pick?
No, he won't.
You want to?
He's a second round pick. He's a second round pick. I am writing this column even as we speak. I stopped momentarily to speak to you guys, but I don't think he can make a bad decision here. I think it's a little bit like Trace, where he's done almost everything he can do individually, but he still hasn't gotten it done. Not he, but his teams have not gotten it done in the NCAA tournament. So look, and he's making almost $1 million a year in NIL. So
now see, how is he doing that being a foreign student?
There's a way. Just like with Sheway, I don't know all the details, but he's making a good coin, and it's American coin, not those weird Canadian loonies. But he's doing quite well along with his family. So I think, he can't improve. He's not going to improve his stock. He's not going to suddenly become Brooke Lopez from the 3-point line. He's not going to become Nikola Jokic or Joel Embiid. He doesn't have that kind of footwork. But look, there's a space for 7'4", 7'5" guys. I think he's better than Boban. I think he's got more skills, but I don't see him being anything more than a mid to late second round pick. And I don't think he can improve that stock by staying. That said, there's a lot to be said for staying and having that experience and still making your money. So I don't think he can make a bad choice here, guys.
Yeah, because there are 32 picks, right?
Mm-hmm. No, 30.
So
30,
60. Okay.
60.
And of the first 20, these are all freshmen or the equivalent.
Yeah.
So that's not going to change probably next year because it's been that's how it's just been. That's how it's going to be. So he's not going to break into that all of a sudden. And so you're right. I don't see how much difference it is between this year and next year, unless he were to get hurt, of course. And now he can make more money, obviously, in the NBA, but not a lot more.
Not a lot more. And it's not
a lot more as
right.
A second rounder. It's not. It's definitely not a lot more because as a first round pick, I think you're making $3 million a year, maybe, and only 2 years of that is guaranteed if you're not a lottery pick.
He's got to decide: do I want to go the NBA route and maybe be a two-way player, or be a bench guy and just train and get better? Or do I want another year of playing in front of sold-out lunatic crowds at Mackey Arena and having that experience and being a kid for another year? Again, back in the day, we remember how many kids would come out in the old hardship, and they would go pro, and they would end up not getting drafted. And they would end up God knows where, sometimes Europe, sometimes nowhere. The good thing, maybe an unintended consequence of NIL, is that finances are not going to be that much of an issue. If he stays at Purdue, he can still make close to $1 million. So he really doesn't have a bad choice in the matter. And I think he's smart. I think any player is smart to go on that job interview, go to the NBA combine, get feedback, and find out what the pros think of your game.
Well, and I think to that, I was going to say to that point, Bob, I don't even know. I think if he returns, I think his NIL could skyrocket because after winning all the awards, I feel like his personality's come out a little bit. I mean, he plays
for Purdue. Don't get too excited about skyrocketing now.
Okay, but he's still a nationally known player.
Yeah.
I'm not saying he's going to get the same attention as if he played at Indiana or Kentucky or Duke or North Carolina. Don't get me wrong, but I feel like he can make more money than he did last year because of all the accolades he won last year.
Right.
Plus what he's going to get from Purdue. So it's an interesting decision. I will be shocked if he's not back for another season.
Oh, too, because he has Purdue. He has the Purdue money people right where anybody has ever wanted them right now, because this is probably the best chance that Purdue has had for postseason success since Carson Edwards, and before that, it's been a minute. But because once he leaves, that's going to be a major chunk of what they're doing gone awry.
I tend to disagree with that a little bit, even though he is clearly the most important player on his team, maybe in the country. I mean, nobody is more reliant on Zach Edey than Purdue is with him. I feel like even if he goes pro, they're still a top 10, top 15 team. They still got a ton of talent. This Miles Colvin can play. I don't know much about Hyde. I don't know much about who's the other kid? Berg. You know, you've seen him pregame a little bit, but he's big. You know, he's small compared to Zach, but they're going to be a really good team next year. Those freshman guards are going to be sophomores. You know, Gillis first. I mean, they're going to be really good. So, I mean, I don't think they're as much as they depended on Edey. I think not having Edey makes them less reliant on the center and maybe makes them a better postseason team than they've been the last couple of years.